professionals all over the country. And also to our dietitians in the diaspora, we say you are welcome wherever you are. So today we have, we are all welcome to yet another promising and exciting and educative CPD organized by the GAND National. And so before we proceed, I would like us to kindly start with a prayer. So I want to kindly request, as anybody who is led by the Spirit, to take us through an opening prayer before we begin today's session. So you can just unmute yourself and share a prayer with us before we start. All right, so I can do that quickly since we don't have time. I think our presenter is ready. So let's be in a mood of prayer. Father, Lord, we thank you this afternoon for the lives of all your professionals that are gathered this afternoon for this educative piece. Lord, we pray that may you grant us wisdom and knowledge. We pray that may everything we are going to discuss and learn here help us and for us to be able to apply it into the lives of our patients, that we yield positive outcomes in terms of their health. Lord, we also commit the speaker into your hands. We pray that, Lord, may you speak through him, grant him wisdom to be able to lead this discussion. And to our dear GAN, we pray that, Lord, may you help us and lift us to become one of the best professional groups in Ghana, in Africa, and in the world and beyond. This and many more we ask in your name, Jesus, we pray, amen. All right, so I think that we would proceed by introducing our speaker for today. So today we are privileged to have, one of the pace setters in dietetics. This man has contributed a lot to student training and to the growth of the dietetics professionals. And I, as a student, have learned from this man personally, and I'm a living testimony of what he has done for the growth of dietetics and nutrition in Ghana. So for the topic we are discussing today, that we separated, the title was, there was a mistake. So the actual topic, we are looking at calorific value and quantities of meals. Calorific value and quantities of meals. Well, back to the basics. So we are going to remind ourselves on this particular topic. And the person who is going to lead us for this, I would like to briefly read his bio before introducing him. So he's in the person of Aldi Prince Bedu. So dietitian Prince Bedu is a GAN governing board member responsible for practice standards and accreditation of members. He holds an MPhil in dietetics from the University of Ghana and a BSc in biochemistry from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Aldi Prince holds a postgraduate certificate in nutrition in changing global environment from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Rehovot, Israel. He is an alumnus of the prestigious African Nutrition Leadership Program organized by the Center of Excellence, Northwestern University, Potchefstroom, South Africa. Aldi Prince works with the Ghana Health Service as the head of the diet therapy unit at the Tema General Hospital. He has practiced clinical dietetics for the past 14 years. This goes to talk about the numerous experience our presenter have that he will be sharing with us. He runs a regular nutrition outreach campaigns for schools, corporate organizations, and social groups. Aldi Prince is passionate about the nutrition health of individuals with diet-related disease, as well as the general public. His professional goal is to ensure that every food on the plate or bowl or drink in a glass or cup of his patients or audiences is healthy. He runs a therapeutic cookery seminars for hospital catering departments, corporate organizations, families, and individuals. RD Prince runs the Diet and Diet Consult, which is an important vehicle for wellness, healthy nutrition advocacy, dietetic consultancy, and health food supply. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you our presenter of the day, our one and only, the affable, the one of the most experienced dietitians this country has ever been blessed with, RD Bedu. Mr. Prince Bedu, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, RD Maxwell, for such kind introduction. I would want to profusely apologize for the late start of today's program. Very, very sorry. I believe that you'll be able to have a very nice time and to remind ourselves as professionals even for this session. I've seen very senior members on the page. I want to salute all of you. And I want to acknowledge the presence of the governing board members, RD Dani, RD Dela, and all the governing board members that are on. Please, today's topic is very crucial. In fact, I think we did a similar discussion if not about 10 years or 9 years ago, trying to remind ourselves of the value the dietetics provide in the nutrition space, so that as GAND, we'll be able to meet all the needs of our clients and Ghanaians, those who are sick and they come to us in the hospital, as well as those who are well, preventing them from getting sick. Right, so we'll be discussing crucial, or the most crucial aspect of dietetics practice in Ghana: how to merge calories and quantities in preparing meals that are fit for purpose for our clients. And we want to remind ourselves so that we don't forget the basics of what we need to do with our clients as and when they come to us, so that it will be useful to them. Right, so as for my outline, I'll give a brief introduction, then I will draw the attention of all dietetic practitioners to the tools for caloric estimation and quantification of meals. So we'll talk about serving and portion sizes. We'll talk about handy measures, nutrition concepts we base on to make our medical nutrition decisions. And we'll do two case studies, one case study together, and one will be for us to try at home. So I love this quote, and I think I quoted it 8 years ago when we had a discussion similar to this. Don't go in for the yellowish if what you need is yellow. The attitude called precision is the quality that remarks the accuracy of your demand. Never settle for the less. Go for the exact thing. This is Israel Ayibo, one of our thinkers in our country. Right. So, having given this, I think we can go ahead. We know that people have been eating, colleagues, nutrition practitioners, dietetic practitioners. We all are aware that people have been eating since the first human was created. People from various cultures and race have fed their sick in various ways already. So people know what to put together to give to their sick. Dietetics brings to the nutrition space that's kind of predictability and precision in food combination and their outcome. So unlike what is generally accepted and generally known, that when somebody is sick, you have to do the soup like this, you have to give some fruits, you have to give that. That's a general notion, and people know that already. So when we bring dietetics into the nutrition space, it becomes important because it is predictable. When you assess a patient and you bring in an intervention, nutrition intervention, you can have monitoring and evaluation outcomes that you can monitor and know that this is what I have put in must bring about. So dietetics brings predictability and precision in the food combination and the outcomes. Right. So calories, we are using calorific, we are using quantities. So let's just refresh our memories about calories. So we know, as you can see depicted, rightly depicted here, calorie talks about heat, so, or energy. So when we eat the food and our food is burnt through the metabolic processes, the energy derived from the metabolism of our foods is what we are referring to as calories, right? So it is very, very crucial. We know that the human metabolic system is carefully and stringently regulated, right? So whatever we push in will determine the outcome of the metabolic processes that will occur with that particular food. So if it's carbohydrate, we are talking about the glycolysis, we are talking about our citric acid cycle. We are now for fat. We are talking about the pentose phosphate pathway. We are talking about the ammonia or the nitrogen cycle. All these come together to generate the necessary energies from the foods we eat to help with the body's regulatory and maintenance processes. So the energies that we get from the food we eat powers our bodies. So the minutest cell in the brain, the minutest cell at your toe, receive energy from the food we eat after it has gone through metabolism, and the energy is what we are referring to as calories. So when we talk about quantities, we are talking about how much of what food one must eat to obtain which quantity, which calorie. So how much of which food must one eat to contain a particular amount of calorie, right? So we use, especially the hand is an important tool for measuring the various quantities we normally would give to our patient or the person who will come and sit before us to assess and prescribe appropriate diets for them. So we have, like we see, we use the words like a slice, the words like a bar, we use words like a dice. So all those are descriptive words we use to describe how the amount of food we are giving in the balanced meal we are planning for whoever is involved. These are the words that are used. So we've talked about calories. We are now refreshing our memories about quantities. And these are the words, the adjectives, the symbols that are used to describe the quantities that will give particular calories of a given food, right? So as we move on, we'll talk about it. We'll talk much more into details. So you realize that if your knowledge, so we talk about food resources. So we are talking about calories, we are talking about quantities, but calories from what and quantities of what? So calories from foods, and the foods are the foods that are available in our settings. So a very good knowledge of the dietetic practitioner, the dietitian, in the context within which he or she operates, and their nutrient and caloric values is very, very crucial in this quantification and the calorific values that we put in places in our foods, right? Okay, so it's very important that the dietitian, the dietetic practitioner will have a very good knowledge of the food resources in their context. So your district, your community, your district, your municipal, your region, your country, and the world. Now that we are in a global village, you will get patients coming from all over the world, from the Middle East, from the West, from Far East, from Southern Africa, Central Africa, all of them coming. So the knowledge of the dietetic practitioner about food resources must be very broad, wide, and encompassing, so that you can help whoever comes to you. Okay, so having spoken about the calories and quantities, flexibility with quantities makes the practitioner more useful to the client. So we must be, the dietetic practitioner must be flexible with his quantities. It is unless or until the practitioner gets to the place where he is not very worried or encumbered with his quantities, the practitioner becomes very much more useful to the client. Your quantities, you become useful to your clients when you are flexible with how you put the foods together to arrive at the caloric value you have apportioned to your clients, so that the outcomes, predictable outcomes that we have in place will be achieved. Right. So the key point here is that if people consult with dietitians and end up with diets or meal plans that does not differ from what they have been having all along, then the dietitian is not needed. Then, if as we push forward and we push ahead for us to be relevant, if the light soups they do for their sick patient, if the fruits they put together for their soup for their sick patient, is what they come to the dietitian to hear, to go home and do the same thing they have been doing, then we are not needed. And number two, if as dietitians we purport to have given a meal plan with a given calorie and specified amount of macro and micronutrients, and it turns out that there's the amount or what we are saying we have given to the client is substantially or significantly different from our intention, that will be a very great tragedy. So somebody comes to us and we say we have given 1,800 calories per day. And when we do the audit of the diet we have given to the patient, the person is actually taking 2,700 calories. Then we have caused damage, and it's a great tragedy. So it's very important that we have it in mind that the predictability the dietetics bring into the nutrition space must not be compromised. All right, so let's now discuss the tools for caloric estimation and quantification of meals. So these are the terms we are used to. Serving size, the standardized amount of food that may be used to quantify recommended amount, or represent quantities that people typically consume on the nutrition fact label. So the serving sizes are universal. So we have particular amounts that are given that represent a serving of a particular food. And it is those servings that we put together to make the food that the client will take. So that when somebody practicing in the northern part of the country, and those of us practicing in the south, someone practicing in South Africa, someone practicing in West Africa, the nutrition term, the serving sizes allocated for specific general foods should not be different from across the various sections and regions of our world, right? So serving sizes are actually standardized amount of foods. So, but then when we talk about the portions, we are talking about the amount of a given food one chooses to eat. So at the time of eating, you may take more than a serving, or multiples of a serving, or less than a serving, depending upon the serving size of that particular food, because it is standardized, right? Okay, so for example, like we have the handy measures and the adjectives we use to describe serving sizes. So a serving of protein, like it's like a palm size, as we see here. 1 palm size, a serving of protein, which is normally between 3 to 5 ounces, which is about 3.5 to 5 matchbox sizes of fish or meat, right? Then, so how much of eggs can fill that same one egg, one poached egg fills the pump. So whilst hello, please can we kindly mute ourselves so that when it's time for question and answers, then we come. Thank you so much. I would want to say here that we had a bit of a ceiling up to 100, but now we have an extension so everybody can be on the call. Thank you. All right, so when we look at the handy measures here, whilst about 3 to 5 or 3.5 to 5 matchbox sizes of meat is a serving of protein, or it's a serving of meat, we have only 1 egg as a serving of egg. So in declaring or quantifying the portions, you would see that you may have to give multiple servings of egg as opposed to maybe giving 1 or less than a serving of meat. So the serving sizes are not the same as equivalence. Very important, so that we don't equate 1 egg to 3.5 to 5 matchbox sizes of meat. No, they are not equivalent. They are standard sizes, and we must know the nutritional value of that standard size of a given food, so that when we are calculating our total quantities we have to give to our patients in the day, we will be able to know how to fit what where. Very important. So like here, a fist size of vegetables, a fist size of vegetable is a serving. That's fresh vegetables, right? So a cupped hand of noodles or rice is a serving. Here, as we come on, we will see in our local context what we also use to do these measurements. So a thumb size of fat, margarine or butter is a serving of fat. So these are the symbols and adjectives we use to describe serving sizes. So here we can see that the Let's Eat family, they have done it in a more clearer and plainer way. So you see that the 4-finger size of cheese is a serving, and is giving us about 1.5 ounces in weight. Milk and yogurt, if it's thick, when you fetch an amount that is like 1 fist, which is like 1 cup. These are serving sizes. They are not portions. So if these are the standard serving sizes, that is what we depend on, either multiples or reductions of it, to help to be able to quantify the food that our clients will need. So these are some of the local portion guides. So these are not necessarily serving sizes, because this one is like a matchbox size of fish, a matchbox size of fish. 3.5 to 5 of this will be a palm size, which will give you a serving. But because of our context, when we show this and do multiples of this to give the quantities we give to our clients, it becomes easier. We see the slice of bread here. We see a slice of cassava. We see 1 plantain, right? All these can be used to quantify foods, to represent the portions our clients would need in terms of carrying along the calories they require per day. Very, very, very important. This is pineapple. Then we see here a potato, half a slice of yam. We have the 2 ounces of fish. That's 2 matchbox sizes here, a matchbox size of meat. And all these are various models and symbols we use to help and guide our clients to be able to count and bring them to a place where we are not so far away from the calculated calories and the actual food they are eating. Very, very important. So we don't have to be casual about our discussion with our clients and just tell them that, oh, okay, just take something like this, something like that. The more general our recommendation, the more likely is it that our calories will differ substantially from the quantities we give to our clients. So we must be very particular about it as dietetic practitioners. Okay, so now we can look at more specific examples of serving sizes. So the protein group, lean meat, 3 ounces, that's about 3 matchbox size or 3.5 matchbox sizes. It's a serving. It's a serving. Fish, 3.5 ounces, so it's about 3.5 matchbox sizes. Cooked beans is half cup, which is about 2 steel ladle rounders. Our steel ladles, we use the 125, the 62.5 ml flat steel ladle we use at home. Yes, 2 of it will be a serving of cooked beans. Boiled egg, 1 whole or 2 egg album, they serve as a serving. Peanut butter, 1 tablespoonful. Nuts, a half cup. So depending upon the size of the nut, you would have the cups, the number of nuts in it varying and different, right? So you see here, when we come to the vegetables, leafy vegetable, green leafy vegetables, 1 cup, which is 2 soup ladles, it's a serving. Then here we see like leafy green vegetable cooked, half cup, which is 1 soup ladle, is a serving. When we talk about the bell pepper like this, 2 small sizes is a serving. Carrots, half cup is a serving. When we come to the fruits, we see oranges, 1 large orange is a serving. Grapes, 16 seedless grapes, that is the berry sizes, is a serving. If it's the thumb big sizes, 8 grapes is a serving. Apple, 1 small size of apple. Banana, 1 large or 2 dwarfs represent a serving. Then we here in the berries, we see half cups of berries represent a serving, and pineapple is half cup, which is a quarter of a small size pineapple, right? So these are refreshment. I believe that as practitioners, these are things we know, but we are refreshing our memories, telling ourselves that we must not take for granted the specificity, the predictability, and the precision that the dietitian must bring to the space, so that our patient will have confidence in us, knowing that when I go and see this person and they assess me and they give me a plan, it will work. Otherwise, we will not be needed. So when we do the cereals and grains, cooked rice, 3/4 of a cup, which is 3 stewing ladles of rice. If it's brown rice, it could be about 3.5. Packaged cereals, and if it is basmati rice, it's maybe 4 or 4.5, depending upon the brand you are using. So packaged cereal, we refer to the label to know how much of it is a serving and which nutrients are contained in that serving. Then cooked wheat, 3/4 of a cup, which is 3 stewing ladle, is a serving. Then yam, about half cup, which is half moon slice of yam, a palm size yam, is a serving, right? So then when we come to plantain, they say 1 medium size apple or 1.5 normal size plantain gives us 7. When we come to the milk, whether it's skimmed or 1% fat, for skimmed, 1 cup, 250 ml is a serving. When we come to the full cream milk, they differ. Okay, so now let's look at the nutrition concept we base on to do what we do to our clients. So we have this, and I'm bringing about 3 or 4 concepts, so that having in mind that we have a lot of our scope now is wider. Now you can't sit in your consulting room and think that it's only Ghanaians that will come to you. You have Nigerians, you have Americans, you have Russians, you have Ukrainians, you have all manner of, or all people from all walks of life coming to your consulting room. So my plate concept divide the food groups into 5: protein food, the vegetables, the fruits, the grains, and the dairy. Right. So about a quarter, or let's say a little over a quarter, will be vegetables, a quarter will be fruits, about 1/3 of the plate will be proteins, and another quarter being the grains. Then you have the dairy as a side amount. So this one gives the guide. So as the practitioner calculates the calories required, the person after your assessment, the amount of energy this particular client sitting in front of you requires, then you would have to know how you distribute these foods in terms of the amount that you give to the patient based on my plate concept. So my plate concept does not put a lot of emphasis on oils, because you realize that the protein groups, the vegetable groups, the grains, and they all come with a bit of their own oil. So then, as a practitioner, you decide, depending upon the total amount of fat you would have to give to the patient, you will know how much of additional oils you may have to put to this. So to this, it also just re-emphasizes the point that we cannot stop here, that we cannot have a client and just say, oh, take, and they ask you whenever you are eating, let just a quarter of your food be this, and a quarter be that, and a quarter be this, depending upon the person's plate. And especially in our context here that many people eat in bowls, we may get it wrong. So whilst we use this as a guide, it must inform us and help us to rearrange it to fit our context wherever we practice. Very, very, very important. You know that the diary is not one of the regular or very huge portion of our meals over here, but you will have clients who really take a lot of milk. So you would have to, as we individualize the diet to our clients, it's important that we note these ones. Now, we have the 4-star concept, the 4-star diet concept, which talks about the staples, the fruits, and this one, Ghana Health Service is pushing it very much, that the amount of foods we put together to form the caloric basis, the balanced meal for our clients. Staples are our normal carbohydrate foods that form the bulk of our foods, especially in the West African belt here. Fruits and vegetables, legumes, and animal source foods must be carefully put together to give the balanced meal, right? So the legumes, the staples, the animal sources, and the fruits and vegetables must be expertly put together to give what our clients require, to provide all the nutrients and the necessary calories our clients require, right? Because at this stage, our clients may come in different, or may have different conditions. Some are coming with multiple conditions. So you may have a client who, or 3 clients in a day that you assess that they would all be on the same calories, 2,000 calories, 1,800 calories, or 1,006. But the nuances in apportioning the quantities would be different because their conditions are different. So whilst some are taking a huge amount of carbohydrate in the same 1,600 calorie diet, somebody may be taking small amount of carbohydrate because of their unique conditions, right? So then we have the food steps concept. Food steps concept that we talk about, that most of the foods must come from the vegetables and fruits, more foods from starches, moderate foods from proteins, plants and animals, then meager from fat and oils, meager from fat and oils. So this one gives us the idea of how, especially in this one, and the 4-star concept fits into our plan. And I think all these together have been culminated into our recently launched dietary guidelines. That helps us. Remember, guidelines, guides. It's presupposed that the one preparing an individualized diet for a particular person with a particular condition knows what exactly he must do, and that person is guided by these concepts to help him make sure that the food is well distributed and is balanced so that we don't stray off the nutritional path. Very, very, very important, right? So these concepts are guides, and we must not stop here in just giving directional advice to our consultation to our clients, and we leave them to go, only to get home and do not know what it actually means to have most foods from vegetables and fruit, more foods from starches, moderate foods from proteins, plants and animals, mega foods from fats and oils, right? Now, so having talked about the concepts, having talked about the various handy measures and the 7 signs, I think we can now go on to our case study, to discuss it and see how we can use all what we have talked about, our handy measures, our serving sizes, our portion sizes, knowledge in portion sizes, our concept and the various nutritional concepts, how we can use them to help our clients. Remember, if a dietitian purports to give a diet that is substantially far away from what he intends, that will be a very great tragedy. Now, so this case is a 40-year-old male adult. This one is not sick, but he came to see the dietitian to be able to eat well, right? And as per the weight and the activity level, the assessment yielded 2,500 calories per day as the energy requirement, caloric value for the day. But then this male adult is a typical Ghanaian who also believes in the Ghanaian diet. So he's more of tilting towards the 4-star concept and the Ghanaian dietary guideline and the food steps concept. So you know how the Ghanaian diet is and how the Ghanaian likes their food. This person in the history that was taken loves his groundnuts and does not sleep a day without taking milk, but his milk is 1% skimmed milk, right? Okay, so he wants us, he has come to see that GAND professional, he has come to see that dietitian, that dietetic practitioner in that a consulting room, either in the hospital or in private. And he wants help from you. He has heard that when he comes, the dietitian will help him. How do we help such a man? Very crucial question. So we now come to the macronutrient distribution panel. We have 40 to 65%. Please can we unmute? Thank you. 40 to 65%, protein 10 to 35%, fats and oils 20 to 35%, macronutrient distribution panel we have. Where do we pick our percentages from? So this is where the dietitian's expert knowledge is crucial. When do you come to 40? When do you go to 65? When do you stay at 10? When do you get to 35 in protein? And when do you stay at 35 for the percentage in fats for your demand, the fats contribution to the calories? And when do you stay at 20? Very, very, very important. Very important. So I make a decision here because the person likes Ghanaian food, and Ghanaian food without enough carbohydrates will be no food. So I chose to go to the upper limit of the 40 to 65%, right? Now, this person is not diabetic, so I have a bit of laxity to move around. Then, so when we come here, I went to 60% carbohydrate, 20% proteins, 20% fat. 60%, 20% proteins, 20% fat. Now remember that we have started the journey to making sure that the macronutrients required by this patient, by this client, to live healthily and to achieve his nutritional goal, we are now calculating to meet those needs in terms of quantity. So we are working from calories to quantities, right? We have used our Harry Benedict equation. We have used or you have used your quick method, or you have used whichever your method to arrive at the caloric requirement of your client. And we have come to the 2,500. So we are now working back to our quantities. So 60% of carbohydrates, 20% protein, 20% of fat. Now, so the amount in grams, therefore, for the tray will become 375 grams of carbohydrates, 125 grams of protein, and 55.56 grams of fat. Now, this one should have ended the discourse. But we know that the carbohydrate sources, the carbohydrate food sources we have are not entirely carbohydrates. Except for the oils, even the oil sources, as in avocado or the nuts that provide us with some oils, also provide proteins and some carbohydrates. So if we just stop here and distribute the grams into and convert these grams into foods, we are likely to exceed our 60%, 20%, and 20% fat, 20% proteins, and 60% carbohydrates, right? Because if you take something like corn has substantial amount of proteins as well. And the plant proteins really play a key role. Even though they are not cheap sources, those proteins are still available. So if you take oats, the amount of proteins in oats, the amount of proteins in millets are quite substantial. So we cannot close our eyes to them and ignore them and say, we will just move on and still get our 125 grams of proteins, right? So this is where we now come to make some allocations, because you see, the vegetables that are crucial. Remember the two-step concept. Remember the four-star concept. They all emphasize on the vegetables and fruits. So your vegetables and fruits are crucial for that, the balanced nature of the meal, the total meal plan you now get for your client. But then the vegetables and fruits also have other nutrients that must actually be looked at. That must be looked at, right? So we have the I now allocate 3 servings of vegetables to the client. 3 servings. Remember, if it is okra, it's going to be 6 fresh okra. It's going to be 6 soup ladles. Then I'm giving 4 servings of fruits. 4 servings of fruits. Then this person has been eating his cocoa and other things. He takes his sugar. So, and the sugar will form part of the carbohydrate. So I have to now give him, within the limitation of healthy sugar intake, 4 teaspoons of sugar a day. Then, because he cannot sleep without his milk, I allocate 1 cup of milk, 1% fat of skim milk. Then you see, I told you that he likes his groundnut. Almost, he has the groundnut in a cup or in a bottle in the house, he pours and chews. So we must now determine how much of granules you will have to take so that it doesn't go beyond it to destabilize the meal plan, right? So now we allocate 3 servings of vegetables because we are saying that most of the food must be vegetable. So we must have quite an amount of vegetable. Fruit, we are giving 4 servings of fruit. I'm giving 4 teaspoons of sugar, and I'm giving 1% skim milk, 1 cup, that's 250 ml, and a quarter cup of peanuts. Now, all these allocations I've made, what is their contribution to the total calories? What is their individual contributions or respective contributions to the proteins, to the carbohydrates, and to fat and oil? We must know them so that we'll be able to deduct it from our 375 grams of carbohydrates, 125 grams of proteins, 55.56 grams of fats, right? Now, so contribution from the allocation. From the carbohydrates, when you take the leafy vegetables, averagely, cabbage, lettuce, you take contomere, boma, alef, boko boko. When you take the 2 soup ladles of those veggies, which is a serving, we get an average of 6.5 grams of proteins, of carbohydrates per serving, per 2 soup ladles. Meaning, if it is cooked, 1 soup ladle will give 6.5 grams, right? So, for the 3 servings of vegetables, we will now do 6.5 by 3. Then you get your 19.5. Here, I must say that when you have the carrots, the beetroots, those vegetables that have quite an amount of carbohydrates, more carbohydrate than the leafy ones, they may have a little bit more. But if we are giving it in terms of a mixture, sometimes they will have salad, sometimes they will have this, we find the average. So then you look at the highest, you do the range and find the average so that you'll be closer to their carbohydrate contribution than being far away from it, right? So all these calculations, we must bear in mind that they will not, or they may not give us the 100% exactitude, but they are the closest possible we can have so that we can predict the outcome. Very important. So the fruits, we know that a serving of fruit is 15 grams. So the 4 will give 60 gram carbohydrates. The sugar, 1 teaspoon is 5 grams, 4.89, so approximately 5 grams, giving us 20 grams of carbohydrate. The milk, 1%, 250 ml of skim milk gives us 12 grams of carbohydrates. Then the peanuts, the quarter cup of peanuts gives us 7.85 grams. So in total, from the allocation, we get 119.35 grams. Yeah, somebody is asking whether there's a short method. We will see as we go on. So we have 119.35 grams of carbohydrate allocations from the foods I allocated, 119. So this 119, if we did not do this allocation and just shared the carbohydrates, the grammage of carbohydrates to the known carbohydrate foods, we would have had an excess of 119.35 grams of carbohydrates. And we would have ended up doing more than the 2,500 calories than we planned. And that would be a tragedy. Very important. So please, let's have time and go through. Once we get the concept, when you are in your consulting room and you don't have clients, you can just pick various scenarios and do your calculations, because 2,500 calories can have different quantities depending upon the percentages you use. So we cannot have 2,500 calorie diet that is the same in quantities for every dietitian. That one will be a suspect, because every client is different, and the dietitian's professional allocations may also be different. So this is very, very important. Now, so the contribution from the allocations, proteins, contributions of proteins from the allocation. So protein from milk is 8 grams. Proteins from peanut is 8.6 grams. And proteins from the carbohydrates will be 12.78 times 2. Now, this 12.78 look at here. When we got the 375 here, we deducted the 119 from the 375. What was left, then we shared it amongst the carbohydrate foods, the grains, the cereals, and the roots carbohydrates. Then we see it here. Let's please go back. This is important. We see here the serving sizes here. The exchange list for the American Dietetic or the American Academy, the Canadian Academy, the exchange list, they have made their carbohydrates in quantities that gives 15 grams of carbohydrates per exchange. But in Ghana, when you look at the nature of our food, so like this cut of cassava will give 20 grams of carbohydrates. If you wanted to give the 15 grams, the amount becomes like 3/4 of this, which does not relate to how we cut our foods in Ghana. So it is also important that whatever you are using as your guide to do your quantification, you must know what is inside. Is it 15 grams? Is it 20 grams? Is it 25 grams? Depending upon the particular model you are using. And the model must not be too far away from what the people are used to. So when you take this bread, Ghana, the white brown bread, is giving you approximately 20 grams carbohydrates. It is not 15 grams. So in my case, I used 20 grams carbohydrate per unit serving of carbohydrate foods. And so here, 375, I deducted my 119 from it. What was left, I divided by 20 gram carbohydrate, and I got 12.78 servings. Or if I would say 12.78 portions of carbohydrates. 12.78 portions of carbohydrates. But because the carbohydrate food, the oat, the cocoa, the corn dough, the millet, the wheat, because they have proteins in them and they must not be ignored, the average, it starts from 1.2 to 2.8. So when you have oats and wheat, they have very high amount of carbohydrates. But when you come to your cassava and co, they are below the 2. So when you do the composite average of all the carbohydrates that your clients will eat across board, we average it at 2 grams of protein per portion of carbohydrate. And that gives us 25.56. So the total carbohydrates, total proteins from the allocations I made will now be 42.16 grams. Now the fat contribution for my allocation, 1% milk, 250 ml will give 2 grams fat. Fat from the peanut, 18.1 grams. So if we had not decided to determine how much of fat is in the peanut, how much of carbohydrate is in the peanut, how much of protein is in the peanut, we would have had the total intake of the fat we have calculated in excess of 18.1 grams. And that would have pushed our 2,500 calories to maybe 4,000 and over. Right. So 3,000 and over. So we take the fat from proteins. We see that we have 12 units of proteins. 12 units of proteins now. How much of proteins, which type of proteins are you going to give to your client? Now, Mr. Dietitian, Madam Dietitian, after you have calculated the amount of unit servings of proteins, because you see 1 ounce of protein is giving us an approximate value of 7 grams of protein. So if you divide if you subtract the 42 grams of proteins from your allocation, from the total proteins we got when we converted the calories, the 20% calories to proteins, and you divide by 7, you get your 12 unit servings. But the proteins you are giving to your client, it also contains fat. If you are giving lean protein, 1 unit serving of lean protein contains about 0.5 grams of fat. If you are giving a low fat protein, like your normal chicken, the skin chicken, or you are giving your lean beef, you are having an average of 1.5 grams of proteins, 1.5 grams of fat per unit serving of your protein. So 1 matchbox size, or let's say a half drumstick of chicken. So in this case, this is what we do. I decided that from the 12 unit servings of proteins, I'll allocate 8 for low-fat protein sources and 4 to lean proteins, because lean proteins are your egg whites, your deer meat, your tuna, dried tuna, and all those ones. They are the lean ones. Then your deskinned chicken, your normal salmon, and all those ones are the low-fat protein sources, and they will have about 1.5 gram of fat. So when I multiply my 4 lean proteins by 4 units lean proteins by the 5, and I add it to my 8 unit servings of the low-fat proteins by the 1.5, I get 14 grams of fat. So fat from the allocation, 2 from milk, 18.1 from the peanut, and 14 from the proteins. We don't have to ignore the fat that is coming from proteins. Otherwise, we will overfeed our patients with fat. So now the total fat from allocations becomes 34. So this 34, we go and deduct it from the total fat we got when we converted the 20% of 2,500 to fat, to grams. Okay. I know it can be a bit dicey, but it is important that these calculations are adhered to so that we help our patients very well. As I said, these things must be done when you don't have 50, 30, 20 patients waiting and coming one after the other. Maybe after you have seen all your patients around 12 o'clock, around 12:30, and you are on your own. These must engage the attention of the dietitian. You create scenarios for yourself and create the diet for it, so that when the people come, you have your template already, and it will be easier for you to help. Because you can't go on and do the calculation. Whenever you have a patient who comes and you realize, especially the ICU cases, please don't rush to do calculations and do formulations. Take your time and do your calculations. It's important, so that you don't do an excess of 3 grams of fat to go and kill a patient or worsen a patient's plight. If you have a patient at the OPD that you think that you need some time to really do the calculation, please counsel the patient, tell the person, take the person's email address. If it's closer to where you counsel, the person can come the following day when you would have sat down to do the proper allocations and calculations for him. Then he will come for it. The dietitian is there for the patient, for the good of the patient, for the health of the nation. There's no need to rush, no need to go to rush and get it wrong. Because when you get it wrong, it's somebody's father, somebody's mother you are putting in harm's way. Very important. Now, so the amount of actual food for meals now will come to 255 because we have done now the deduction from the allocations. So it comes to 255.65 grams. Proteins is 82.84 grams. And the fat now comes to 21.46 grams. Now, these are the grams of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats that we are now going to convert to real food. Real food, right? So when we divide the 255 by the 20 grams, as I said, the 20 gram, I'm using 20 gram because of my context. The models I use is 20 gram per unit serving. So I divide the 255.65 by 20. I get 13 servings. 13 servings. The proteins from the proteins now comes to 82.84. I divide it by 7 unit servings. I get 11. Then the fat, 21.46 grams. I divide it by 5. You know, 1 teaspoon of oil or fat is 5 grams. So I get 4.3 teaspoons. So now the 2,500 calories, because of the granules, because of the allocation, deciding to give low fat proteins and lean proteins and low fat proteins, it contributed so much oil already in the food that the amount of oil I need to add to the food is actually only 4 teaspoons. If you had a patient that after doing your diet history, you see that the patient really wants to see his oil, then maybe that patient, you would advise the person, you encourage the person to see the contribution of the granules, and that if you want real oil to be added, then maybe you would have to take the granules out or reduce the granules considerably. Or you tell the person that the oil from the granules taking the granules out may affect the quality of life. So you will still want to hold it and help the person to have the skill to use small oil to cook, right? And you ask him to stop the usage of deep fried sources of the foods you are allocating. So if you are giving yam, the yam will be boiled. So this 13 here, that is where we are going to distribute for our rice, our fufu, our banku, our TZ, our akle, our kokonte, and all that. All the carbohydrate foods we give 13. So for example, let's go back to here. So this yam, this size of yam gives 20 gram carbohydrate. This is a serving of yam. So if I'm giving yam for afternoon, I'm giving potato for evening, I'm giving rice for the morning, wache or jollof. These are the countings we are going to do. So the person has 13. So if I give like 5 of this or 6 of this for lunch, the person will see that it's quite huge because he's a Ghanaian eater. 6, 7 sizes of 6 slices of yam. Then I'll be left with 7. So if I'm giving cocoa in the morning, oats in the morning, or even if the person wants to eat rice, then I'm now coming to use my 7 sizes for rice. So you see the 7 sizes of rice here is 3 steel ladders, but the portion I'm giving is 4 units. 4 units, and a unit of rice is a steel ladle. So I'll now give 4 steel ladders of rice. The 4 steel ladders of rice will be more than a 7 of rice. So here we now see the difference between the 7 and the portion. The 7 and the portion. If the person is taking wheat or yam or plantain, if the person is taking fufu, we use the fist size, we use the small orange size, the medium orange size, the big orange size. The big orange size is 5 servings of fufu, 4 servings of cassava, 4 servings of kenke or banku, 4 servings of kokunte. So if I pick a big orange size and I give to my client as kokunte, that one now becomes, I deduct it from the 13. The same refers to the fish. The same refers to the meat, right? Now, I will not go to fruits and vegetables because I've made allocations for them already. We have to determine where we place them as a snack, a mid-morning snack or mid-afternoon snack, or some people want to eat their fruits together. That one depends on the dietitian and how you want to go about it. So, brothers and dear colleagues, this is the rudiment we go through to arrive. So when we arrive there, we decide where we are putting fufu, where we are putting rice, where we are putting yam, where we are putting plantain. In the plan, the total plan we are now going to give to the person. And how much are we giving? This is not the place for direction. Reduce your rice by 1/3. Reduce your rice. No. After calculating and coming here, you give the quantities. How much steel ladders must he fetch? Fufu. How much? What should be the size? Should it be the tennis ball size, the small orange size, the medium orange size, or the large orange size? Plantain. Should it be 4 apim, 5 apim, 6 apim? Let's be specific so that we can also be predictive. Very, very important. So the carbohydrate foods are many. Fufu, rice, yam, kenke, banku, gari. All of them have their 7 sizes. I will put in the chat box. I know many of us have it already, but the 7 sizes, the GDA 7 sizes, that's that GAND is working on to improve, to include a lot more foods so that we can make it into a book that all the dietetic facilities will have it and they will use it to do their, it will guide them in making their allocations. Very important, right? So when we come to the carbohydrate, same cocoa, oats, wheat porridge, oblayo, equibeli, all of them have their quantities that relates to 1 unit serving. And those things must be the preoccupation of the dietetic practitioner so that we don't just make quantities or deliver quantities off the top of our heads, but based on real facts and data. So wheat, porridge, oblayo, and equibeni, all of them are there. Protein, salmon, egg, tuna, snail, all of them have their sizes. How much of it gives 7 grams? So if you are giving 3 portions, how much of it will you fetch? All of them are quantified and we can use them to help our clients. All right, so we'll pause here. There's a second case study. This one will be for us to try at home. you draw a 3-day menu for a middle-aged man who eats both continental and Ghanaian diets, but is rather on 2,000 calorie diet due to sedentary lifestyle. Use the following. So 50% carbohydrate, 25% protein, 25% fat. We can work on this at home. And when you get your this and you discuss at the departmental level, then we improve upon ourselves. Thank you very much. Thank you. Over, Hardy Maxwell.
All right. Thank you so much, Audibedu, for that very insightful presentation. In fact, I think we've learned a lot today. We've indeed gone back to the basics. And as I told you earlier, I think that it's been a blessing having this presentation. Calorie estimation has been one of the most things that we need to discuss. Sometimes the inconsistencies in our practice sometimes do not help. And so I think it's in the right direction that we're having this discussion. So at this juncture, we would like to take some questions. So if you want to ask a question, get ready. I'll get in touch with you soon so that you can ask your question. In the meantime, I would want us to start with some of the reactions from some of our colleagues in the chat box. So maybe we'll start from there and then later we'll look at the other options where people would want to ask questions. So just a minute as I scroll back. Okay, so I think that there's a question here. So from Pearl Bansa. So what she's saying that please, is there any short method for the calculation of individual calories apart from the Harris-Benedict equation? So I'll do over to you. She wants to know if there's any other short method apart from the Harris-Benedict equation.
There's a short method you can use depending upon the activity level of the client. So those who are really, so it moves from 25 calories per kilogram body weight to 35 calories, depending upon the activity level of your client, right? So the person is very sedentary, you may allocate 25 kilocalories per kilogram body weight to do the caloric estimation. Yeah. If the person is very active, you can move up to 35. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. We move to the next reaction or question. So this from Ben. So this is the question, saying that one of our major challenges has been the inconsistencies of weight of our food models and handy measures. Most of the current research done in Ghana have limited nutrition facts of food to weight and not serving sizes. Therefore, my question is, what available data was used to derive or determine the nutrition facts within our local food models?
Okay. So we have we have the key nutritional software we use for, especially for the GDA serving sizes, is the ESHA F Pro software. So what we did was that the idea was to have models that will mimic what we are used to in our context. So we look at how we cut our yam, then we feed it, we weigh it and feed the weight into ESHA F Pro. Then it will give you the nutritional profile, the amount of calories, the carbohydrates, the protein, and fat, if any. So the current food models, the GDA food models, the GDA serving sizes we have, and the food models that diet and diet food models and all those ones, were based on the ESHA FPRO outcomes of the foods that we added or we weighed and fed into them. So like when you take the yam like this, we cut the yam the way it is and put the weight in the ESHA FPRO, then we look at it. How much of the yam will give us 15? You see that when you cut it that way, it doesn't resemble how we cut ours. But then when we get we cut it the way we cut it, the half slice size, we get 20 grams or thereabouts. So this was the basis of the current food model that we have, and the GDA7 sizes as well. So if you see something like a half moon slice yam on the GDA7 size, it was the size we got. And on this note, I want to say kudos to RD Sophia, RD Jonathan, I think Maxwell yourself, the people that we put together those days to do that work. Now we are going to actually expand it with the newer using the resources we have, the West Africa food resources, the food database, the Africa food database, and all these databases that have been embedded in some of these softwares to upgrade what we have now. So there's a plan in place to actually upgrade what we have now to authenticate what we are using now. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Audi. So the next question is from Audi Collins Apia. So he's saying that thanks again for the presentation. Please, what do you say about the use of pre-printed serving sizes on die sheets in the context of today's discussions? Audi Prince, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
So please, can you restate the question? I was distracted.
Okay, he's asking that, what do you have to say about the use of pre-printed serving sizes on that sheet in the context of today's discussions?
All right, thank you very much, RD Collins. My greetings to you and the family. Please, that one will be the dietitian who will do that will do a great disservice to his clients. As I stated, I have visited a department where the dietitian was no longer there, and they brought in someone who wasn't a dietitian to keep the place running. And the person was using 1,800 calorie diet the previous dietitian did and had done photocopies of them. So when you come and he counsels you, come and you are diabetic, he counsels you, stop eating this, don't eat that, don't eat that. Then he'll give you one of the 1,800 calories, standard for everybody. Please, this must not be done. It will, because you see, even the 1,800 calorie diet, every patient may have different allocations depending upon their diet history and their eating context. The foods you may even have on the standard 1,800 may not be what your other client is also eating. And the person may take it because the person respects you and go home and just throw the diet somewhere, come back and tell you, oh, I followed it. Meanwhile, you cannot be predictive. Your outcomes cannot be measured. So please, colleagues, we shouldn't do one size fits all plan. So we shouldn't do 1,800 calorie and put it down, 1,200 calorie and put it down, 1,600 calorie and put it down, and use it. Anybody you calculate and requires 1,600, you use the same 1,600 calorie diet for the person. It must not be done. When we do that, we may be worrying people than helping them.
All right, thank you. So we move on. I think there's a reaction from Akam Boga Samson. So he's saying that meal plan can only be done after dietary assessment. How is pre-print possible? I think it's just a reaction to the first question. So the next question is, okay, so Audi Current is saying that yes, but I've seen some around, so I suppose it will be helpful to discuss. Okay, so it's a reaction to the first question that was asked. So there are some Thank you so much for your thoughtful and educative presentation from Emilia Derry. Then Obed Yaole is saying thank you so much, very educative. Fozia Bedu is saying thank you, Audi Bedu, for the insightful presentation, although I joined late. Hope the recording will be made available. So thanks, Audi. So, okay, so Audi Collins, as indicated some years back, a similar presentation was done on this topic. I remember a committee that I was part of developed the 7-size guide for common Ghanaian foods. I want your thoughts on its relevance now. So Audi Bedi, do I need to take that again?
Yes, because yes, kindly take that again.
Okay, so this from Audi Collins. So say that as indicated in some years back, a similar presentation was done on the same topic. Yeah. And I remember a committee that I was part of developed the 7 sizes guide for common Ghanaian foods. Yeah. I want your thoughts on its relevance now.
Okay, so I think its relevance cannot be overstated. It is more than relevant even today, because you see, as part of our tools, we need the 7 sizes to the minutest of the foods we eat in our context. So as I said, we are working very hard. So RD Collins, will come back to you again to really get this thing done and dusted with. We will upgrade the ones we need to upgrade. We'll reweigh and reanalyze the ones we need to reanalyze and come out with the GAND manual that will help us in this in practicing in this space. Yeah.
All right. So I think there was a reaction from the Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. I presume it's coming from our president. So I think the main outcome of this committee's work is the 20-gram carbohydrate servings sizes that has come to be a major part of our practice. I would say that work is still very relevant for us now, even though an update or review is also due. All right. So he's just re-emphasizing the fact that a review will be needed. So somebody is asking this from Sandra Tete. Please, on the GDA 7 size, rice is equivalent to 1 stew ladle for a serving. Is that a mistake?
No. So you see, the GDA 7 sizes, if you look on the top, we talk about unit servings. Unit servings, so that it does not conflict with standard servings. The standard serving of rice is the 3 stew ladles, but so that it will be easier for us to count in single ladles. When you measure the 1 stew ladle rounded, you get 20 grams carbohydrates. And that is what we use as a unit serving that can help us to be able to do multiples for our portion sizes. So the GDA 7 sizes are the unit servings of the individualized foods, right? Because we want it to be easily used to quantify after we have done our calculations. So if we go and use the international serving sizes and make it 3 stew ladles, it becomes very difficult and it's not so easy to use. Yes, so please, the GDA 7 sizes document, it gives the nutritional renditions for unit serving sizes of proteins, fat, and carbohydrates.
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's applicable to the protein serving as well. I've seen a lot of students who use the matchbox as a serving of protein.
No.
So they are
it's a unit serving, yes.
Exactly. Thank you so much for the clarification. All right. So basically, I think the rest are more of thanks. So somebody is saying, please, where can I get a handy food model to buy? So
we will put a contact in the chat box so they can call it.
Okay, so at this moment, we want to take some reactions from the house. So please, if you want to ask your question, kindly put your, okay, I have 3 hands raised already. Okay, so I have, okay, so Aldi, Eric, Anku, kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
All right. Thank
Aldi, Eric, can you reposition yourself? We can't hear you. Aldi, can you hear me? Okay. I think his network is not good. So we move to
for the presentation. So my first I'm still a lot of rice, so that was clarified. Yes. Okay. Am I? Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hello, Max. Please,
Yeah,
can
out
you
there,
hear
yes, we
me
can
now?
hear you. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so I was saying that my first submit related to the question about the rice portion. So that has been clarified. I wanted to be around estimating calories and other macronutrients from, let's say, a diet history that you have taken. So then how we to estimating calories. So very much.
All right. So Audibedu, I think the network was not clear, but I think the last part of the question is talking about how to estimate micronutrients.
Yes. So you see, the good aspect of this is that if you look at all the works that have been done, if you get your macronutrient calculations very well, usually your micronutrients fall in place. If you move by the guidelines, you are given at least two servings of fruits. You are given at least 3 servings of vegetables, and you do your calculations well. Usually, unless in the case where your patient is very, very much micronutrient deficient, that's where we may have to support with some supplements. But aside from that, if you get your macronutrient calculations well, and you use the very right concept, your 4-star concept, your food step concept, your dietary guideline concept, you will get your micronutrients right as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So Audi Ben, please, you can kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you. Just a follow-up on RD Anku's question. I think he was asking if you can use the food models to actually assess a patient's micronutrients. You know, the food models or the unit models can be used to assess the macronutrients. So you have the carbohydrates. When you do the assessment, dietary assessment, you can be able to use that to assess the patient diet history, from the diet history, the macronutrients. I think he was trying to ask if it can be also used to assess the micronutrients. My actual question is, still on the food models. I'm looking at the validity of the models that we have. Okay. For the models that the food models, the Ghanaian food models that we have, that you use in deriving the various nutrition facts. So let's say the 20 grams carbohydrate of maybe yam or the stew ladle of rice. How valid are those, what should I call it, those models? Because sometimes, even as a dietitian, it can be very, very difficult in assessing one stew ladle of rice, because you can overfetch and underfetch. Okay, so if for a patient, probably you want to do maybe weight for that patient, how much of, in terms of weight, how much should I fetch with the the stew ladles? If I'm fetching, how much should I be getting if I'm weighing? That is my question. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So I think you hit the nail right on the head. It is a substantial part of the revision we are going to have. We will have the grammage. So if you look at the GDA, you see that the gram is there.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. You see that the gram is there, but we're going to expand it and make it better. So you see, many of our clients do not just a moment, please. Many of our clients do not weigh their food. So sometimes, even when we must rather also try and improve upon how we can get them to get it close to what we actually mean. Because when we even add the grammage to it, many people don't weigh. Many people are buying their wache somewhere. So if they weigh it at home once and see the quantity, when they are buying it from outside, at least they can estimate how much they should buy. So it's a very complex situation we find ourselves. But then when we bring the experts together once again, I think we will have the opportunity to be able to address all these nuances and help come up with something that will help our clients and help. Maybe we can even do some pictorial things that we can put on our GAND website that clients can visit there and look at it when they are confused. So we will think about all those one and do what will help. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Anku's think whether you can use the current food models to assess micronutrients. No, you cannot be so emphatic with the current food models. But if your current food models is able to help you to assess the nutrients, the macronutrient adequacy, then you can only speculate that the people may be taking enough micronutrients. But there are other protocols to help us to know the micronutrient deficiency, the lab test, the blood, and others. You know, we can, because of the cost for testing for some key micronutrients, it becomes very difficult even to use the labs. But then at least for the iron and the clinical examination can help us to find whether vitamin C or something are out. But the rest, we may have to look at ways and use the other protocols to assess. Yeah.
So can I add something to that?
Please go ahead.
Okay, so I agree with Osafo Bedu on what he just said. But then I think what Prince Anku was asking, Eric was asking, was the dietary assessment of micronutrients. And so just to add that there is the food-based food composition tables that are available. The West African one is recently published. If the only thing is that the process of determining or estimating that can be a little more cumbersome. And then there are also some databases that have been provided from the University of Ghana Food Science Department, which are available. If you must necessarily check the micronutrient adequacy of your clients, those tools are available. I'm sure we can put them together and share them. But then we probably would look into a CPD in the future on how to use these tools in a more effective an efficient way. All right. Thank you.
Thank
Hello.
you very much. Thank you, Vice P.
Hello.
Great.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Just as he stated, for those documents, or let's say the resources, they are given in grams. Okay. And so if we are assessing in our food models, which are not in grams, then we may not be able to determine. That's why I was asking if you have the validity of the weight of the food models. If you have that, then we can use that weight for our food models to also estimate the nutrients per the weight we have. I don't know if you get me. Thank you.
So the food models as we have now, as the GDS sizes are as valid as it could be, because the team actually was set up to do it, right? And we use the Esha F Pro as of then to do it. As we plan to revise it, we will re-weigh and recalibrate all and see whether there are any changes that have come up with it. Then it will translate into the model, the physical model we see as well.
All right. So moving on, Ivy, you can kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hello, Mr. Baby.
Yes, yes, madam.
Thank you for this presentation. I have some is it contribution or a question? Some of them has been addressed. And then talking about assessment of micronutrients, like the last said, there's this food composition table by FAO. So maybe if you know the grammage, the gram of food, maybe you can find out from the book, maybe if you want to know particular or some key micronutrients in some food. So maybe the people who want to know some micronutrients of some foods in West Africa can also maybe refer to the FAO food composition table. And my issue is, another issue is that you said one large banana is a 7 and 2 dwarfs. So it becomes like a large 2 dwarfs is what inches? Because in Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, I'm talking about America, yeah. They said one large banana is 9 inches. So if you can put a length on it, so that say if it's 9 inches, it's 2 sevens. If it's 4.5 inches, then it's a 7. So maybe our dwarf, our large can be the 4.5 inches, and then the dwarf will be half of it. So when you take 2, then you are getting the 7 size. Another thing is always, I have personally, it's not my personal thing, it's about these ladles, because some is, you have large ones, we have small ones, they are all stewing ladles. So maybe I think maybe you should combine the two, use the cup and then use the ladle so that we can, because internationally people are using cups. Maybe, I don't know about UK, maybe UK, they are using portion sizes and sometimes there's this confusion. So maybe you can, for the time being, whilst we are validating ours, we can also use some of the cups, because when you say half cup of beans, it's a 7, which is 15 grams of carbohydrate. And I'm wondering if somebody takes a larger stewing ladle and then take level, and if the beans are like sticky beans, or is it, how do you call it? They are separated or something like that. It depends. So it will be more than what we are talking about. So I think the ladle and the cups, we should find a clear cut, and then there should be a solution to it so that we have a standard ladles and the standard maybe stewing spoon that we can use to show to patients, because there's standard cups that they use. And I'm so confused about the unit 7 and the standard 7. So if you can also explain it to me again, because I know that a 7 of protein we are saying is 7 grams of, it contains a 7 of maybe fish, which is the matchbox size, is 7 grams of protein, or maybe a palm size is 3 ounces, which is 21 or so. So these unit 7s and the standard 7 are something that's a little confused. So if you can also explain it to me. Thank you, Pastor Beatty.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. One of the very experienced dietitians in Ghana today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So as I show this, you realize that the definition we gave for a serving size is that standard size, standard measure of a particular food. So when we look at this, the serving size for lean meat is 3 ounces, which is the 1 palm size. So, and normally 1 palm size can be used to quantify 3 matchbox sizes or 5. So sometimes 5 ounces they use palm size, 3 ounces they use palm size. So it is important that it is indicated. But the palm size and the thumb size and all those ones, they are only directional and pictorial measures to help us to help us to quantify, right? So, but in terms of real weight, 3 ounces of meat, plain meat, is a serving, which is 3 matchbox sizes. So for hours, when we were having an issue, when we were actually putting the GDA 7 sizes together, because it is easier to multiply matchbox sizes to our clients than to speak to them in multiples of 3. So then the group agreed that we rather than make it the unit servings, because like the rice, look at the rice here. The rice will be 3 steel ladles as a serving. Meanwhile, when we are consulting in the consulting room, we can easily tell them that we'll take 2, 3, 4, 5 steel ladles instead of working in multiples of 3. So that is why the standard serving size is actually the universal sizes we know. So when we say a serving of rice in the US is 3/4 of a cup. In UK, it's 3/4 of a cup. In Australia, it's 3/4 of a cup. In Ghana, it's 3 steel ladles leveled. So these 3 steel ladles leveled, if we are doing our own serving size list, and we want to quantify this, and we want to multiply our servings in 3s, meanwhile, the portion, somebody may even take 1.5 or 1, then we rather decided that, okay, then let's make the GDA 7 sizes a combination of the 7 portion thing, so that it will be easier to implement. So it is just something for us to be able to implement. But if we are quoting, if we are writing any document and you are quoting a serving of rice, it is 3/4 of a cup, which is 3 steel ladles. It is not 1 steel ladle. The 1 steel ladle is for convenient use of our practitioners. So those are the 2 differences. The same as the meat. The lean meat is 3 matchbox sizes, is a serving, but the unit serving in the GDA 7 size is a matchbox size, because it's easier to relate to that than putting 3 matchbox sizes together to cut it as a meat. That one is very difficult to explain to our clients. That's how come we chose that path. But if you have to write anything officially, a serving size of lean meat, which is a standard size across the entire globe, is 3 ounces, which is 3 matchbox sizes.
Thank you. Thank you. But I would like to say that we are now developing our own thing, our own serving sizes of carbohydrate, but we are using 20. That's another issue. We are using a serving as 20, but international people are saying a serving is 15 grams.
It's 15, yeah.
And then we are using 20. So I don't know. Why don't you also fine-tune ours to 15 so that we know that yam we are saying is 20 grams. We should reduce it a bit to bring it to account with them and say that it's also 15 grams. So it becomes easier for us to cut across that. We can also use the same convention elsewhere, so that we don't conflict what is being done maybe in a different AAE jurisdiction, we are also doing ours differently because carbohydrates, a serving of carbohydrates is known as 15 grams of carbohydrate. It's known as 15 grams. So we should be able to conform to that norm.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
So as earlier explained, if you look at the GDA 7 sizes, there is the 15 gram option 2 on it.
Okay.
There's the 15.
When you started, so I didn't know that you spoke about that one too.
Yeah, yeah. So the GDA 7 sizes has the 15 gram option. Only that when you look at how the measure is, it's not relatable, but it is there for academic purpose. So that maybe if you want to use an exchange list with an American food or Canadian food or Australian food, you can know the exact amount to use. The 20 gram is just for convenience, so that we can relate to our clients well. But as we review it, all these will be taken into consideration so that we come out with a very good manual that will guide our practice. Thank you.
Thank you. And we should also consider the food composition table, because most of these things that were developed that we are now using comes from the food composition table. So we should also be able to collaborate with our international people to help us also to develop our own food models so that we can use it internationally. People can even refer from here, because there was this student who came to do a presentation here with Prof. Laurie. Her name is Karen. I went to US and she said, "Oh, Auntie Ivy, do you have something on Ghanaian foods that I can use also to show to my clients in New Jersey?" I said, "Well, there are a lot of Ghanaian communities that I see them, but I don't have anything like that." So these are some of the things you can collaborate with them and then get it done. Thank you so much, Papa Osofo.
Thank you. Thank you. As it's going there, you'll be part of the team.
All right, thank you, Audi Ivy, for those important additions. So this from Audi Nana from the message chat. She's saying that can the committee work on international standards? Insulin titration, for example, works with 15 grams as a serving of carbohydrates. And I think she has a question, she had an earlier reaction that she's saying that 1 stool ladder is equivalent to half cup of rice, which is 15 gram carbohydrates. It's quite confusing to work with different serving sizes. So to add to that, I want to know what's the difference between the 3/4 cup and the half cup that some international standards are using for a cooked rice.
Okay, so yes. Now we must be clear about exchange lists and serving sizes. Sometimes, you see, for the 15 on the ADA exchange list. So if you take, they've made the quantities of noodles, rice, everything to fit into 15 across, right? So if you look at your own food, so you take your yam, you take your potato, you take your cassava, how does that fit into the whole narrative? And I think that is the question the committee will be trying to answer. Okay, because for all that we will do, aside from the fact that it must be relatable across, it must also be very relevant to our people. Okay, so when we were doing the GDA service, and when you take a steel ladle of rice, it was giving you around, I think, 19.8, 20 gram carbohydrates. And 3/4 of the rice will be giving you somewhere around 15. So you realize that an exchange serving of rice in terms of our handy measures will be 3/4 of the steel ladle, right? But then when you take how do you call it? When we take, I showed something here. Okay, so Adi, you're asking of this one. the cooked rice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the half a cup is what?
In some jurisdictions, half a cup is a serving. And that's what Aldin and I put in the chat box. So I wanted to know the difference between that and this. And it's equivalent to 15 grams.
Okay. Okay. So the serving, the half a cup cooked rice. Well, I don't know the rice, but this one is our rice. The rice we use here. This is what we okay. Okay, you let me flag it. Let me flag it and check it well, because I think that this is in my review. This is what I saw. But you let me flag it and check. Let me check. So Ardina, I'll check it and see if we have to amend to be amended. Then it will also be looked at the committee level.
Exactly. I think I also have it as half cup, so it was even added to some of my comments. So I think we can look at that.
We can look at it. Okay. Okay.
All right, so Aldi Collins, kindly unmute yourself. I think we have spent a lot of time, but your hand was up earlier, so please kindly ask your question.
Yes, thank you, Aldi, for the presentation once again. But I just want to come in quickly to provide some clarity. Aldi, on the right, I remember what we did for the GDA 75 list was that we had a rounded two ladder as the serving. So what I'm seeing with our presentation is level, a two ladder, level two ladder. So perhaps maybe that is why he's getting the cottage. But what we did, I remember, is a rounded two ladder, and that was the equivalent to the half cup. So maybe that can provide that. And then to emphasize what I already said, for our colleagues who indicating the international serving size of 15. Yeah, so on the video serving size, there's also the 15 gram serving size on the document. So if you have to work a 15 grams, or if you want to work a 15 grams or serving for Ghanaian food, that's also provided for. Okay, so if you have patients who are on insulin and you want to determine the insulin capacity, then that's also provided in the video serving size. And I think, as I mentioned in the chat, maybe we should share these documents on our platform so that members can have access to it. So the grammage, the 15 gram serving, and the 20 gram serving are all provided for in the document. And then I'll be where I also have a question has to do with the protein. I know that 1 ounce of protein, which we equate to a mad oxide, has about 7 grams, or one ounce of protein, predominantly protein food, has about 7 grams protein, and that is equivalent to a serving. So also a bit unclear about having the three servings or 3 ounces for the serving. So I want to find out in that 3 ounces for the serving, what is the gram equivalent? Maybe that can also provide a clarity. Because the international standard, 1 ounce is 7 grams. All right, thank you.
Yeah, please, can you ask the last part? Is that the gram equivalent you mean?
Yeah, so I'm asking that I know that 1 ounce of a protein rich like meat or fish, etc., has about 7 grams protein. And that's the serving. So I'm also unclear about having the 3 ounces representing the serving size. Because
so okay. So I think I use this one to explain. We are talking about two things here. The serving sizes and serving equivalents. Because if you look here, boiled egg is 1 whole egg or 2 egg albumin. This is 7 grams. But a serving of fish is not 1 ounce. A serving of fish is 3.5 ounces. So that one will be more than 7 grams. So the equivalent sizes put everything under the same amount of protein. But serving sizes are different from equivalent sizes. Otherwise, the how do you call it? The egg here would the meat here will be one ounce. 1 ounce. 1 ounce. If this one was an equivalence chart. But then you see, if you look at, I'll just refer us to just go to or address our minds to 7 sizes, standardized 7 sizes across the globe, not equivalences, because equivalences is for the practitioner to be able to just pick if he has to take 10 or 70 grams of protein, he picks 10 of the various equivalents and use. But then when we are talking about 7 sizes, that's where we are using our palms, we are using our half palm, we are using our four fingers and all those ones and middle fingers to explain. So please let's look at the equivalence and servings, because if we don't delineate them well, we may get things confused. If you look at the standard serving sizes, the serving size for the meat, the lean meat, it's not 1 ounce. It's not 1 ounce. The 1 ounce would be if you want to do standardized equivalents for unit servings of proteins. Then you can do 1 egg, 1 ounce, or 1 matchbox size of meat, 1 matchbox size of fish, and all those ones. So please let's all of us go back. Maybe when the committee is set up, all this one will also be put in perspective. Yeah.
All right. So Aldi, thank you. I think that to add to what you just said, the equivalence unit is different from serving sizes. For instance, when you use the 7-gram protein to do the estimate, and you end up with 3 servings of protein, that 3 servings of protein, each serving is equivalent to 7 grams because you use the 7 grams to do the estimate. Exactly. So your 3 servings will become more like a serving of protein. So it's not like 1 serving is equivalent to, let's say, 3 ounces, no. So all your 3 servings, because you use the 7 gram, all of that become a serving of protein. So you have 3 matchbox sizes. Yeah. So let's not mix it. Otherwise, if you are interpreting 1 serving as the 3 ounces, you may have more protein. That's not how it works.
No, but so we must not also like mix up the GDA servings with standard servings as pertains across, because the GDA servings, as I've kept saying, is unit, it has been put in unit so that it can easily be used. But if you are reading books, if you are reading nutrition books, and they state a serving of lean meat, and you relate to find out what a serving means, it doesn't mean 1 matchbox size. That's because the standard serving across the globe is not 1 matchbox size. Fish is different from meat, is different from egg, is different from beans. All of them come with the sizes that have been standardized. But then if you want to make it in such a way that we can easily use them, then the various places, America has done theirs exchange list, UK has their exchange list, and we trying to make it easier to use. I've also made ours. So I think these discussions are bringing a lot of things out. That's when we set the committee together, we'll be able to iron them out and settle it. Yeah.
All right. So I think our time is fast spent. I would just like to, share some few comments, and then probably we'll be bringing this session to an end. So, so somebody saying, I think our tutors in academia should incorporate the GDA unit servings in teaching students, because they come out to practice using the 15 gram, but then meter out food models made in 20 gram. Okay, and then someone is saying, please, I think I'm getting confused. Are you saying 3.5 matchbox sizes of fish is equal to 7 gram protein?
No. It's equal to about 23 grams protein.
Exactly. So the 1 ounce is 7 gram protein.
Exactly.
So that's the 7 gram only helps you to be able to estimate in terms of
exactly.
yes. So
Exactly.
kindly take note. Please, how many grams make a serving of protein?
How many grams make a serving of
Make a
protein?
serving of protein.
So that one will be, no, we can't have a serving of protein because egg is a protein. And 7 grams of protein makes 1 serving of egg. When you take lean meat, 21 grams of protein make a serving of egg of meat. When you take fish, 22.5 grams of protein make a serving of fish. So we should not confuse serving sizes with exchange list. Exchange list is they bring the thing to the unit form that you can easily multiply and quantify. But the serving sizes are standard, they are fixed. They are fixed sizes that are there, right? They are reviewed over a long time when people start eating differently. But when they fix it, it takes a long time. That is there. So I'll just encourage all of us to read about serving sizes and portion sizes and exchange lists. The 3 are different. They are not the same.
All right. So Gladys, we don't have grams of 7 making a protein. It will differ from one protein to the other. But what you should pick from this presentation is that 1 unit equivalent serving of protein is 7 grams. It's not the same as a serving size of protein.
I think it's the final part of the statement that is becoming confusing. So maybe you should say that again. Let me see if my rendition will make it clearer.
Okay.
What I hear from the presentation is that just like a standard serving of milk is about 12 grams of protein, when you come to fish, you need 3.5 ounces to yield 7 grams of protein. Is that what you are saying? I did.
Yes.
I'm just trying to see if I can summarize all that you said so that people can get the conversation. So just like a glass of milk will yield 12 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Then 3.5 ounces of fish will yield 7 grams of protein.
No. That's not how it is. You see, the serving sizes are not set to make all proteins equivalent. They are set in ways that makes it easier to serve, like easier to measure. So if they are doing 3.5 ounces of meat, they are not saying that should be equivalent to what a serving size of egg must give, because a serving size of egg is 1, but the protein content is 7. It doesn't mean that the serving size of lean meat must also give you 7 grams of protein. No.
Hold on. I'm just trying to help the conversation because I think this is the part that is getting mixed up on everybody.
Yeah.
So a serving of bread is 1 slice of bread.
Yes.
A serving of banku, depending on where you are standing, is about a feet of a large or a medium orange size. That's a serving of banku.
That is the unit serving. That is the GDA.
No problem.
That's all. Now we are going to equivalence.
No, either way, it yields 15 grams of carbohydrates. So you're looking at exchange.
That's exchange, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
But on this slide, I think what you are saying is that lean meat, you need 3 ounces, which is 3 matchbox sizes. Now, what people want to know is in these 3 matchbox sizes, is it equal? Is it what standard are we resulting in? Are all these resulting in a standard? Yes or no?
No.
Or the standard is already set, and then this is how you are serving it to get.
So these are not exchanges. So it's not pointing to a standard. These are the sizes that are internationally acclaimed as servings. So when you pick lean meat, a serving of lean meat is 3 ounces. As in how much of protein is in that serving is a different question.
So that's what people want to know now, so that they can dispel the conversation. I think that's where the confusion is.
Exactly.
So we all know without doubt that a glass of milk is 12 grams of protein. So what grams of bioavailable protein would you find in any of these ones on the slide? I think that's the real question.
Yes, so you know that a serving of milk is 250 ml. That's a serving of milk. But then so that's a serving of milk, 1 cup.
Yeah, that's what we have on the slide now. That's the equivalent to what we have on the slide now. So a serving of milk.
No. This is not equivalent. These are serving sizes.
I understand. I mean, I use the word equivalent loosely. I mean, that is a concept we are translating onto this slide.
Okay.
So we know that a serving of milk is 1 cup, which is 240 or 250 mils.
Yes.
So a serving of lean meat is 3 ounces, which is 90 grams.
3 ounces, which is 90 grams
of lean meat.
Of meat, exactly.
Yeah, of lean meat. So that's all we have said. So now what people want to know, so of these 90 grams of lean meat, how many grams of bioavailable protein are we yielding? Just like, 15 grams, I mean, 1 slice of bread will give you 15 grams of bioavailable carbohydrates.
Yeah.
How many grams of protein will these 3 ounces or 90 grams yield? I think that's the question. That's the fundamental question.
Yes, that one will be yielding about 21 grams of protein.
Okay, so that will apply to all the list on most of the list on the chart.
Yes, so the egg here now tells us the whole story. That serving sizes are not set to equate the protein content. That's not how they are set. But exchange lists are set to equate content of that key nutrient. So if you take a carbohydrate exchange list, it is for a particular amount. If you take protein exchange list, it's for a particular grammage. But if you take general, the word serving, as in the quantity that has been assigned for a particular food, it is not set based on the content of the nutrient. It's set based on the amount that has been observed. So if they say 1 palm size is a serving of protein, that is the serving. Then we can now work back and know how much grams of protein are in a serving of that particular food. Otherwise here, the serving of egg would have been 3 eggs, so that it will be equivalent to 21 grams. So it's the food that determines its servings, not the other way around.
Thank you for the clarification.
All right, so Abdul, thank you. I think that what is bringing the confusion is because we have always been taught that a serving of protein is 7 grams. But in fact, we have also done our research at Legon Hospital and realized that it doesn't work that way. So from this conversation, it tells us that that particular rule does not work anymore. The 7 grams to 1 ounce is just a unit equivalent that will help you to be able to do estimations. So let's all do a lot of more reading. I think we'll need to do a lot more CPDs after the update is out, and then we find a way around to come. We have spent a lot of time, and I think that I would like to bring the presentation to an end. Did you have any last word for us?
Oh, I will say a very big thank you to all the people. We have short our time about 30 minutes over. Thank you for staying and contributing. I want to thank all the contributors, and I want to assure ourselves that we are going to work hard to get the working documents that will help us iron out some of these differences. Thank you so much.
All right. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining. I think it's been a very educative session. For the time spent, I believe that we've learned a lot and it's quite worth it. I want us to quickly end with a prayer. So if you are led by the Spirit, please kindly unmute.
Pastor, can you hear her?
Can I have someone to pray and close us, please? Thank you, Aldibedu. Can you pray with us?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for a successful CPD. We thank you for granting us the grace to be able to go through these knotty ties of our profession. I pray that every discussion we've done will help us to delve deeper into how we will be able to put together the calories we calculate into quantities that will help our cases. I pray that it will help us to be able to get a formidable team to come up with a protocol that will help in the practice of dietetics in GAND. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you so much for all of you who have joined.
Thank you so much.
I would like to bring the session to an end. If there's any information from any of the GAN executives.
ISP.
Just to say thank you for being part of it. I enjoy your evening. Maybe in the coming days we will communicate information on future engagements. God bless you for being part of today's meeting.
All right. Thank you so much, and God bless you all. Do have a wonderful day. Bye to all of you. And now, I salute. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.